Doing great.
Great. Well, I'm gonna need everyone to the back to start making their way up. Can you guys hear me in the back with no microphone?
No microphone.
Yes, we call the mama voice, right? Okay. First of all, we just want to thank you for coming out. It's been a crazy day with the water and all the madness that's going on Friday in Atlanta. So we just want to thank you so much for coming out and being here. I'm just going to let everybody jump in pretty much with the amazing, amazing leaders that I even had in my life. So go ahead, ladies.
So, thank you for coming. Jessica Weinstein, she's the speaker here. And she was amazingly generous with coming to Cobb County for me back last month. So I'm happy to be here and support her and help her in her reelection.
That's right.
I just want to thank, I'm Sakari Johnson. I just want to thank all the donors that gave today. They know we can't do this in a vacuum. Thank you for everyone being the elected officials, the advocates. Thanks to Ohio Rural South. Where's Howard? For hosting us.
That's it.
Thank you. We were looking for a place and he said, sure, come
right
here. So we just want to appreciate him for doing that and hosting us. We're all here because we're Women for Change, right? And we advocate for women and we raise money for women. So we love Congressman. She's a surrogate provider, so she's been all around the place. So we just thank her for being here this small amount of time. So let's give it up.
Right. There's still time to give. Let's make that happen.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much to the host committee for even thinking of me. Definitely a special thanks to Jess, who had to end up staffing me, which meant she was picking me up, she was driving me, she had to do the picture line, she had to do all the things, but she was so thankful that I broke all the rules on that day. I didn't break the rules when I called old girl out, but but when it came down to showing up for Cobb County, I felt so bad because they had worked so hard to put together this amazing event to raise money, and they said that I was coming. And you know, things don't quite go the way they're supposed to in DC ever. And so they extended our voting as we were trying to deal with the budget. And so numbers were tight, and my whip said, you can't go. And I said, Whip, I gotta go. And she said, no, I need you to stay. I said, Whip, I said, I promise you I will get on the first flight back. I was like, but I don't want to leave them hanging. And so it was funny because Jess just knew I was gonna cancel. She was like dialing people. She's like, I gotta find a backup because she's about to cancel because the house got stuck. And I said, no, my team has worked it out. I can get out after our last vote and I'll get back before our next vote. And she said, okay. And I showed up, and it was really the break that I needed. Sometimes that DC bubble can really get to you. And so it was a very welcomed break. And so thank you so much for welcoming me and allowing me an opportunity to speak to y'all, even though I was keeping it very real. In that speech, I had a lot of things that I needed to get off my chest on that particular day. But I do want to say thank you to each of you for showing up and for supporting me. As most of you know, I don't represent Georgia. I represent y'all's ugly step cousin, for sure. But I say that because it does bring together kind of what I stand for, is the reality that we all got fights that we're waging. And there's a lot more that actually unites us than divides us. And as soon as we can recognize that, we can get this country back on track. It is going to take all of us putting in the work, putting in the money everywhere. And so I'm always very transparent about where the money goes, because when you taking people money, I'm like, you gotta tell them what you're gonna do with it. I'm giving it away. That's my job, is to give it away to people that are in more difficult races. The maximums when it comes to the federal level are $3,300. Listen, my race doesn't cost the same type of money as somebody who's running a frontline race in November. It ends up costing them anywhere between, usually a House race can get $25 to maybe $40 million in a House race in a general. It's a lot of money. Even a big race for me, if I'm only gonna have to do a primary, which I'm in a safe Democratic seat, my initial primary, I had 9 opponents. It cost about $3 million. So still a lot of money, no matter what we're talking about. But you know, it takes people like me who won't have as expensive races saying, let me give you some. And I do serve as the freshman leadership representative, the first Black woman elected to that post since Shirley Chisholm. So required to give money, it's a big deal. Required to pay dues, things like that. But more importantly, I got the best team in the game. And I really, it's not even a chore. It is so much easier for me to sell my team than to sell myself any given day of the week. Because the House Democrats are amazing. I mean, and granted, we all over the spectrum. Y'all know how we are as Democrats. You know, we got the far left, the middle left, and then we just got the right that we still trying to bring to the left a little bit. But nevertheless, we got a little bit of everybody, and they are really trying to do the hard work for the American people. And this has been the most unproductive Congress in the history of the Congress. And the only thing that happened between last term, which was the most productive, and this term was as the House flipped into the control of the Republicans. And I did that in air quotes because I don't think that anybody has any control of those clowns in the House. And it only hurts us. You know, when you have a Freedom Caucus member that decides not only am I not going to run for re-election, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw y'all the deuces early because I got more done when the Democrats were in control. A Freedom Caucus member is like, I'm out. Like, that tells you the environment that we're in, but I really do believe in the American people, and I can't sit here and believe in the polls. I gotta pay attention to them for sure. But I absolutely believe that the American people know that they deserve better and they're gonna fight for better. We know for sure that nobody thought Ohio would give us repro access, but they did. We know that nobody thought that Kansas would give us repro access, but they did. We know that when the people say we recognize our power and they start to flex that power, that usually it's gonna inure to the benefit of Democrats as a whole. And so the only thing that I can hope is that we can go out and encourage people to just take a hold of your power. The power belongs to the people. And right now, we are being run by a minority of a minority. That is what MAGA is. It is a minority of a minority. And we don't want to live those lives. We believe in freedom. We are supposed to be the land of the free, but when you look around, it don't feel too free for some of us. And we've got to change that, and we have the power to change that so long as we have a democracy. And that's what this is about. It's about more than do I love the candidates. It's about what is the agenda and which team is going to fight for me. We've got to make sure that people need to say, listen, I'm going to be very selfish with my vote. I don't care about these people running for office. I care about me. So I'm going to go and vote for the person that I know is going to look out for me, look out for my child, look out for my grandchildren, because it's about me and my future. If they just decide to choose themselves, Democrats will win. Because the other folk, Trump, he don't care about the people. He's just trying to stay out of prison. His old felon ass. But you know, nevertheless.
And he's a convicted felon.
Nevertheless, I call him a felon. I'm gonna use the term.
Yes.
So listen, I just was waiting on the jury to confirm what I already knew, honey. So listen, now that it's been confirmed, baby. Felon. I ain't gonna never let them, and I am gonna try to recruit them though on one of my bills. Because I actually did file a Democracy Restoration Act, which interestingly enough was all about making sure that those that have been incarcerated previously, say on felonies, have their right to vote. Y'all may care about that now. So I'm looking for some good co-sponsors for that. I'm gonna show a troll them about it. We gonna do that. But nevertheless, I do appreciate you all. This is very difficult work, and it takes a lot for you to say that you will invest in someone who isn't in your state. But I want you to know that I am willing to work with anybody on my side of the aisle or on the other side of the aisle to move the needle forward. In fact, here in Georgia, y'all have good old Hank. Where's my old mate? Yes, good old Hank Johnson. And one of the things that hasn't been covered, because it's hard to break through the noise sometimes, is that we just started the Court Reform Task Force. And so the Court Reform Task Force is about, which court can y'all guess?
Supreme Court.
Good guess. Supreme Court, right? So we have 3 major bills that we're pushing forward with, and we're really trying to get support behind, trying to get people organized behind. One is term limits. 18 years. That's it. And that's a lot of time. It's not a short amount of time, but these lifetime appointments are hurting my feelings. So 18 years. We also are pushing forward with ethics reform. And then the final component of it is expanding the court. We want to add some seats right now. So those are the 3 bills that we're pushing forward with. So for those that may tell y'all all I know is maybe B6, I do have substance, just so you know. And do a lot of hard work every day, whether it's in the form of a task force such as this, where we're pushing forward with bills, or filing bills such as the Democracy Restoration Act, or just working with my senior senator, who's actually a Republican, John Cornyn, who carries pretty much any of my bills that don't divide us as Democrats and Republicans. I don't deal with the junior senator.
Cancun cruise.
Y'all may know him. He don't play. He's just terrible. Lord have mercy. But nevertheless, so literally, Cornyn can be quoted as saying very wonderful things about me, and he has done a lot of work to carry one of my really big signature bills that I actually started working on in the State House, which is all around making sure that testing strips for those that engage in certain drugs, that they've got them so that they can be safe, and hopefully not lose their lives when they think they're getting opioids and instead they're not. So, you know, I believe in attacking things such as a drug crisis from so many different angles. As a former criminal defense attorney, I know it's not good enough to say, well, we're just going to increase the punishment. That'll fix it. Not really, but I understand what addiction looks like. And ultimately, if you want to save lives, you've got to do so many other things, including mitigation. And so I've been proud of the senator because he has more time to do things since, you know, I'm working on trying to make sure we save the house. And so he's actually been carrying my bill on that across the country. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up talking. I do wanna make sure I take a few questions if anybody has any. If you don't feel like you gotta ask me. Yes, sir.
The bleach blonde, bad built butch body line. Did you come up with that on the spot, or was that scripted?
All the good stuff I said. It was not locked and loaded. I had not dreamt of, you know, I was gonna say this forever. I was just waiting on the moment. I actually looked over at her and from head to toe. That's what I did. So yes, it was in that moment. I did write it down. And make sure it made sense. But I started at her head. So it was interesting because a colleague said, "Do you still have the paper? We take notes." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, I was like, "I have to ask my staff." And he was like, "The Library of Congress would want that." So I made my staff go look, and she found it. So I do have it. So somebody else was like, "You got to make a shirt with," which I was like, my handwriting is terrible, and I was mad, but anyway, yes.